Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Yes, my name is Kent. This is about the third time I've tried to make this video, so hopefully it turns out this time. And yeah, we don't have any sun right now because the sun is behind the clouds. Maybe it'll drop down before the end of this video, but I can start to see the sun on the horizon. But like I say, this time of year we don't get much sunlight because inland, in the inland area like Las Vegas and Phoenix, is so hot right now, it draws the moisture over the coast, and all we get is clouds. So this starts to clear off towards the end of June, but we call it June gloom here in San Diego. And we are in June gloom right now. And also, I have a little bit of a cold, which is really, you know, we're almost we're in the summertime, getting close to summertime, and I ended up getting some sort of a sore throat cold kind of this time of year. So if I don't sound like myself, that's why. So anyway, a very beautiful night otherwise. And I want to talk a little bit about the video I made the other night, which is I was saying don't get a job. I was telling people getting a job in today's world just isn't worth it because you're trading your time for money. And you know, if you use all your time to make a little bit of money at a job, you're really keeping yourself from finding alternative ways of making money without having to actually be present or actually being physically there. Like the heart doctor I was talking about the other night. He makes a great living, but he can't enjoy the money he makes because he has to be there all the time. So he's got nice cars, nice houses, all that good stuff. But he doesn't enjoy it because he's at work all the time. Doesn't get to drive a nice car, doesn't get to live in a nice house, because he has to be there delivering his skills, which is being a heart surgeon, heart doctor. So you need to find alternative ways to make money without having to make your life be your job, which is what a lot of people do. Their life is their job. They can't do anything outside of the job because they're there all the time. And especially in this time and day and age, because right now, the job that you're making money from is paying less and less because the employer can't afford to pay you more because of inflation and all the money that they have to put out in order to run a business, and they have to make a profit from whatever they pay you. So that's getting harder and harder to do. So you're making less and less money. So in my opinion, doing a job right now is not going to be a very good way to live a life. You're not going to have a high quality of life, and I don't think you'll get much security out of it. And there's a lot of things right now that the job isn't providing, like things like medical, taking care of your medical bills, all this other stuff. A lot of things that jobs just don't do anymore that they used to do. And here in California, now that they have the $20 minimum wage, you know, they just don't want to deliver all the benefits that they used to deliver because they're just saying they can't afford it. And of course, the fast food places are all claiming they can't continue and they're going to have to go out of business, like McDonald's and some of these places. And of course, I'd say in the long term, that's a good thing. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, you're losing people jobs because people don't work at McDonald's anymore, but in the long term, people's health is much better because they're not eating a lot of this garbage food. And if they're not eating the garbage food, the overall net effect of that is you get a healthier society, a healthier population, and it's actually beneficial. So if fast food businesses go out of business because of the $20 minimum wage, you know, I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. I know a lot of people complain about it. And of course, you know, the people who are complaining about this are the people that are very wealthy. When they own 5 or 6, 7, 8, 10, 20 McDonald's franchises and they're complaining about paying a $20 minimum wage, that's being very selfish, because I know that they certainly can make money. They can make enough money to pay a minimum wage of $20. So I don't necessarily buy that argument. Pay the $20. Pay a little bit more. People need to make enough money to live on. That's my thing. If you don't make enough money to live in, why do it? You know, why? There's actually times, like there's been times in my life where I've actually lost money working at a job. I'll tell you about one of those times here in a second. But I would say, you know, and of course, when I make a video like this, everybody says, well, what do I do? How do I make a living? I can't make a living if I don't work at a job. And I would say it almost sounds like you're in a cult. You're saying, hey, if I'm not part of this cult of having a job, how do I make a living? And what a cult is a lot of people believing something that's not necessarily true. You just believe it because everybody else believes it. That's what a cult is, without really thinking about it or not really scrutinizing it or not really sitting there and looking at the results. And the results are, hey, I can work at a job and not really make a very good living, and just have a minimum existence. And of course, at the end of the day, I've used up my life. And when I get to be 50, 60, 70 years old, my options are all gone. And that's what happens to a lot of people. So yeah, I call it the cult of having a job. A lot of people are in that cult and they can't get out of it. So what do you do if you don't want to be in the cult? How do you get out of not having a job? And there's we're in a bad time because inflation is high. It's hard to make a living. There's not good jobs. People don't want to pay out very well. So what do I do as an alternative to having a job? And that's what the question is. A lot of people put that in the comments. And of course, my response to that is you got to figure out a way to get paid without physically trading your time for money. So of course, there's ways of doing that. One of the ways is of course what I'm doing right here is making social media, and of course that's very difficult. But I do see YouTube is paying a little bit more than they used to pay. They used to give you absolutely nothing in ad revenue. Now they're giving a little bit better. So I think as time goes on, things like YouTube will be a better option. You'll be able to do better in social media, but that's a very select few. Very few people have the kind of personality that can do social media and make good money at it. That's hard to do. But if you don't do social media, what else can you do? And I would say you won't know if you're working at a job. If you're working at a job and all your time's being taken working at a job, you won't be able to investigate other ways of making money. And of course, we're living in a day and age where there's a lot of opportunities that are going to be missed if you're not out there actually trying to figure them out. We have artificial intelligence right now. There's a lot of things that can be done with AI. So you can make money through AI without actually working at a job. You can do something that may make money. And of course, maybe one of these days I'll start making videos about how to make how to make money with AI without your presence being there, like the heart doctor, where he's got to actually be there in order to make the money. You can do things, you can create revenue streams, you can create ways of making money. You can make money by residual incomes without actually being there through artificial intelligence, AI. There's a lot of ways you can do that. And that's going to be the way to do it, that you're going to have to figure out a way to make money without going and getting a job, because jobs are a joke. And getting a job is a cult of just getting a job and then just hoping someone pays you enough money to exist. It's just not happening. It's making people frustrated, and they're getting less and less. They want to, it's ruining it's actually ruining our economy, and it's ruining the people's ability to feel good about what they do. And when we lose that, then our country has very little that we can use in this country to progress and make life better for everybody else. So that's getting to be the case. The jobs are just not fulfilling making them feel good about what they do and making sure that they have a quality existence and a quality future. And that's one of the problems going on right now. So as I thought about this and I was thinking about this, I want to talk about a time when I had a job that actually, it didn't pay me to work at the job. I would have been better off to stay at home. This is in the late 1990s. I had gone to school, and of course that didn't work out very well, and I'd come back to my hometown, which is back in Nebraska, western Nebraska, and I got a job at this loan servicing company, mortgage company. It's called, I think it was Aurora Loan Services. They service loans for people. So I tried to get a job with this company for a long time. They put an ad in the paper, and I think I was well overqualified. At that time, I had pretty well qualified. I had gone to school, but I could not get a job with this company. I would always apply. Every time I saw the ad in the paper, I applied, and they would never give me a job. So one day, after maybe 5-6 times of applying for this job, I went down and actually went to the business, walked in and said, "Hey, I keep applying, I never hear a response, but I keep seeing your ad in the paper. Why are you not hiring me?" And I think and I kind of did it in a way, "Hey, why are you discriminating against me?" So I think they got a little worried. So they went ahead and hired me. And of course they gave me part-time, I think 4 hours a day, so 20 hours a week. And I got a job working as a loan servicer, a loan servicing people. So people would call into this, it was basically a call center. They'd call in and we would take care of whatever problem they had as far as their loan was concerned. So, and this is the late 1990s. They don't have as much technology as they have today. So it was like, we would get the call and then we'd have to jump on the call and we'd have to take the call. I took the call. And I think I was making $7 an hour. And horrible, $7 an hour. But I remember when I got hired, and I was part of this group. I think they had the guy that was actually our boss, our lead. There was like 5 or 6 people under him, and he was a lot younger than I was. And I remember I was making $7 an hour, and he had a nice office, and he had a little bit of authority down there, and he had like a few people under him, like 5 or 6, 7, 8 people underneath him. And I thought, this is the job, this is the position I want. If I work really, really hard and do everything well, maybe I'll get his position. And of course, I was making $7 an hour. I thought to myself, I wonder how much he's making, because that's really what I want to do. I want to get his position. So on a break, we get these breaks and we get to talk to people. And I got to talk to him a little bit. He was kind of arrogant, kind of an asshole. But, it was just, he was all right. I mean, that was just the position he held. He just had to have some authority over us. So anyway, I got a chance to talk to the guy a little bit, and I asked him, I said, how much money are you making? And of course, he said, that's against company policy. I can't tell you how much money I'm making because the company strictly tells us not to tell us. One of the company policies is we can't divulge income, what we make to other people. Because I'm trying to figure out how much money this guy's making, because I know I can't make it at $7 an hour working 20 hours a week. But I'm thinking, if I can get this guy's job, maybe that's going to be enough for me to exist. So I asked this guy, how much are you making? He wouldn't tell me. So I worked on him for quite a while. One day, finally, he did tell me. He said, and I don't know why, when he told me what he made, I misinterpreted it. So he told me, I'm making $7 an hour. He said he's making $7.85. And when he said $7.85, for some reason, I thought that meant $785 a week, because I knew he was in a management position. I was kind of like a minimum, a wage person. I don't know what minimum wage at the time was, but it's probably around $7 an hour. So when he said $7.85, I wasn't thinking hourly. I was thinking he's probably getting a salary, and that was probably a weekly wage, was $785 a week. So I was thinking to myself right away, $785, 7 times 4, that's $2,800. I mean, he's making close to $3,000 a month, and 3 times 12, that's $36,000 a year. I thought, well, it's not great, but I can kind of exist at that. I had a wife and 2 kids at the time, but we're in Nebraska. It's cheap living back there. Everything was cheap. Housing was cheap. Everything was cheap. So I'm thinking $3,000 a month. I could probably make it $36,000 a year. I was kind of like excited about that. I thought, wow, that's just probably a good job for me. I need to stick it out and really put my heart and soul into this and get up to where I'm making about $36,000 a year. So I keep working at this job. And one of the things I do is I stop every evening, and actually in the morning, I think I stop in the morning or evening, I can't remember, but I buy myself a case of Evian water. And we're in Nebraska now. Evian water is from wherever it's in Swiss Alps or wherever they make that. So it's expensive. And I'm buying the Evian water, and it's my one thing I really give myself, the luxury thing I give myself. Evian water. Because I'm in Nebraska and we got a crappy water, doesn't taste very well. I'm in an office and it tastes like chlorine, and I don't want the water. So I'm gonna give myself this one little luxury. I'm gonna have Evian water while I'm on the phone, give myself a little bit of feeling like, a little bit of like a luxurious thing. I'm getting Evian water. So I stop every night, get the Evian water, go to work, and of course, while I'm in my little cubicle, making my phone calls or receiving the phone calls, I'm getting a chance to drink some nice Evian water from the whatever, Swiss Alps or French Alps, wherever it was from. So anyway, my wife finds out that I'm buying Evian water. And she's so mad at me because she realizes I'm spending more on the water and gasoline than I'm actually making at the job. And she kind of confronts me with this. What are you doing buying all this Evian water? I said, well, I'm working. I want to have the water to drink because it makes me feel better. And of course, I enjoy drinking the water. She says, you're actually losing money doing this job. By the time you pay for your gas and by the time you pay for the Evian water, you've lost money. And she actually sat down and we figured it out, and she was correct. By the time I paid for the water and the gas, I was losing money working at this job for 20 hours a week. So it didn't take long. And then I did figure out that the guy was not making $785 a week. He was making $7.85 an hour. So he was making just like 85 cents more an hour than I was. So that was really like the death knell. I mean, I knew right away, this is ridiculous. I'm buying water and gas and I can't make enough money to survive at this job. And then this guy's making $7.85. He's been there forever. And he's got the position I want, and it's only 85 cents more an hour than what I'm making. So that was it, man. I was done. I had just totally lost interest in the job. And then how I finally ended up leaving the job was that the people would call in, and of course we'd hit them with late fees and all these other things. And I would talk to the people, and I'd be very sympathetic because I felt bad for them. I would say, this is horrible. You're getting hit with like this $20 or $30 late fee and all. So we have the ability to forgive some of those. So when people would call in, as a loan servicing, somebody was helping them out with their loan, I had the ability to forgive some of their late fees. So I would forgive these late fees. And not only would I forgive the late fees, I'd actually complain and actually commiserate with the person that had the loan about how bad this was and how they're getting screwed by the lender. And so I would say, this is terrible. And of course, the company had been recording all my calls. So I get called into the office one night, and this is the 1990s. It wasn't like it is today, where you just have all this technology that kept track of people. So I get called in the office one day, and they recorded one of my phone calls, and they played it back to me, where I was actually complaining about how bad this company was because they were sticking people for all these late fees. So they didn't fire me over that. But they certainly gave me a talking to, and told me that if I continued to do that, they were gonna fire me. Well, I ended up only lasting a short period of time after that. In fact, I ended up quitting, and they weren't happy with me, and of course I didn't care because I wasn't going to work down there for $7.85 an hour. So anyway, that's a case in point where it didn't pay to have a job. That job wasn't getting me anywhere. In fact, it was losing me money. By the time I bought my little Evian water and paid my gasoline and my time, I was losing money. Not even to think about my time. My time was worthless. So, and then the alternative is, how much can the company afford to pay you? I don't know. I don't know how much money they were making. But anyway, that's what I'm talking about when I say it's not worth having a job. It doesn't pay. You need to figure out some other way of creating an income stream that is beyond this mindless cult of working at a job, of just going down and not questioning, not thinking, but just saying, hey, I need a job, everybody gets a job, that's what we do, we just get jobs. And that's the way the world works. Don't do it anymore. Don't play that game of, hey, I gotta have a job, and then whatever it is, I just get it. And then play that game of, if I keep on working at the job, somehow I move up in the company to where I get a position someday where I can actually afford to work there, like I was doing. I thought I was working up to a point where I could actually have, a position where I could actually, afford to work at a place. I couldn't afford to work at that place, not with a wife and 2 children. So that's the world that we live in today, and I would recommend people today really evaluate your situation. And I would say most times it doesn't pay to have a job. That's why you got to figure out an alternative way of making a living, whatever it is. And I will talk about that in the future. I will talk about ways I have found to make a living. The problem with that is everybody wants to scam you and even on YouTube, I can't hardly watch YouTube videos anymore without somebody trying to throw in something that where they're trying to get you to sign up for something or be involved with something or do something, and that something is something that could be just taking advantage of you or making it, where you spend some money to try to do something that doesn't bring back much in return. So anyway, I'm going long tonight. It's about 17 minutes, actually 19 minutes, and we have no sun tonight. I mean, actually nothing. It is completely, it may drop down here in a little bit, but it's pretty overcast out there in the ocean. And like I say, leave your comments. I would like to hear what people say. I mean, a lot of people are telling me that, hey, they're not happy with their job, but they have no other means of bringing money in, and they're kind of like between a rock and a hard spot right now. I can't quit my job because I need to make my basic income, but I don't know what else to do. And maybe I'd like to hear what other people say too about this stuff, because we're in a tough time right now. We're in a really tough time, and I think it's going to get tougher, because what I say is that the difference, what we're doing, we're creating a very elite group of people that are making an extreme amount of money, and then those people that aren't making any money at all, that are working nowhere, dead-end jobs, and they have no opportunities and no future. And of course, what that leads to is their children have no opportunities and no future. And that's where this is going. So there needs to be some sort of a change. We need to find out some way that people can exist and have a quality of life and a standard of living that improves on previous generations, where my generation the generation beneath me, the generations that are beneath me, will live better than I live. And that's what should be happening. And of course, with technology and all the things we have available to us today, the internet and all this good stuff, we should be able to create an economy where people do better than the previous generations. That's what I want, and that's what I talk about. That's what I want to have happen. That's why I make these videos. I want people to do better. I want my children to have a better life than I had. And that's if we don't do that, then we're not doing what we should do. That's not what we are supposed to do as fathers and grandfathers. We need grandmothers and mothers. We need to make better for our children than our parents made for us, and that's exactly what needs to happen. So we got a few surfers out there tonight, a few hardy souls out there surfing. So I'm going to turn this video around, say goodnight to you, and we'll talk tomorrow night. Appreciate you watching. Okay, hopefully everybody can see me, and we'll see if I can come up with a video for tomorrow. Thanks for watching.